Was a gavel that hit this. Oh, got her, didn't he? Good morning. I'd like to call Brookings County Commission meeting Tuesday, September 21st, 2021 to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Second.
A motion a second. Additions or corrections?
We do need to add on to exec session at the end, 125.2.1 for personnel and 4 for contractual.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 5, consent agenda items. Approval of the minutes, approval of travel requests, approval of personnel action notices, approval of cellular authorizations, approval of the human services report. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, call roll, please.
Pierce.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 6, routine business, approval of the claims. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any additions, corrections? Call the roll, please.
Bartley.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B, department head reports. Dustin, would you like to start?
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
I'll give my information from August 17th. In the gun range, we had 158 people. And then archery range, 174. With archery season starting, there's more hunters coming in the facility. We had a Girl Scout troop come out and use the facility. They shot some archery and then used their classroom for kind of a yearly meeting. Midwest Maidens practiced twice in the archery range. The state came out, DMV. They did some training for 2 days in our classroom. We had our BCOIC advisory board meeting. We did a birthday party in the archery range, played some archery tag. Wildlife Federation, they had their monthly meeting. We did our monthly enhanced concealed carry class. Army National Guard was out and they qualified 19 people in our gun range. 4-H used the facility twice. JOAD kicked off for the year. They had a registration night. And then they actually started yesterday. They're going to do a youth JOAD and an adult JOAD this year. They were going to do the adult JOAD, but with COVID last year, they canceled it. Blood drive in the archery range. We had a first district meeting. Brookings County Republicans, they met in our classroom for their monthly meeting. They took the summer off, kind of. They were doing the parades and stuff, so they'll be back every month. And then I said JOAD started with their fall session. We're continuing to hire part-time staff. I was going to attend the meeting last time and ask, but I was curious on the hiring process with the part-timers that we have out there. When I know you've said in the past, you guys don't care how many part-timers I have out there as long as I stay within my budget. But would you care if when someone quit, if I would just get with HR and we could advertise that right then and there, or would you rather I come and ask for approval and then hire somebody? The reason I ask is it's pretty consistent to where a person quits and then I wait 2 weeks to come to a meeting and then the 2 weeks for hiring process, and then it could be over a month and a half before somebody gets hired and trained. I know it's got to be the same across the board with all the department heads, but I just wanted to ask your opinion on that.
We have a standing kind of open request to fill vacancy similar to what Dustin is requesting for the part-time correctional officers over at the jail. you don't see request to fill vacancy for those part-time positions because they tend to come and go quite often. So similarly, I mean, like you said, if you're comfortable with him staying within his budget, it would just be as if when someone quits, we can go ahead and post right away.
I have no objection to that at all. I think you got to react more quickly with part-time people.
Agree.
That's okay if I do that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. In a perfect world, we'd really only need 3 out there. Currently, we have 5, but when people take vacations, spring break, depending on if they're college kids or that kind of thing. But some maintenance around the facility. We got all the carpets cleaned, gun range, 4-H, the GF&P offices, did everywhere in the building. I need to get in contact with AMP on the lights that you guys approved for the gun range, transferring that to LEDs, and then getting with Quality Spray Foam to see when they can do that. Train performed some routine maintenance on all our HVAC. That's their 3rd one of the year. We are contracted for 4, so they got 1 left to do. As of September 1st, we changed our hours, opening up at 3 o'clock Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we have been getting people through the door, so that's nice to see. We're also renting our bows and kind of keeping track of those a little bit better and making sure they're maintenanced and all that kind of stuff. Another, I wanted to ask, we have a couple guns that don't really operate the best with a novice shooter, and I would like for all the, I mean, it takes a little bit. I mean, we get a lot of novice shooters through the door. And when they rent a gun, I want it to operate properly. So we have 2 of them that I've talked with the RSOs that we'd like to possibly look at trading. And I've already contacted the exchange, and they're willing to do this if we would just purchase new ones but trade them out. How would you guys like me to do that, or would you allow me? I know you wouldn't want to surplus it and then somebody buy them off like the county, but I guess I just want some direction on how you would like me to do that.
I think you could surplus it and then note in when the commission approves it as surplus, just say it would be as a trade-in,
Okay.
rather than you're not going to surplus it to potentially sell.
Yeah.
Just surplus it, note that it's in trade-in, in exchange for
New firearm.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. That's all I had. If you guys had any questions for me at all. No. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Bob?
Good morning.
Morning.
I'll start off with where emergency operations plan. I plan on, it's due to have a review by the end of the month. I'm working with law enforcement and a couple of the fire departments. We're going to take a look at it next year. We finally went through the state laws, and we will schedule a meeting and executive session with the county commission to review the local emergency operations plan at that time for the big 2022 revision. On Friday, I looked and didn't see a travel request, but I'll have to put a late one in. On Friday, there is an international archery shoot down in Yankton County. And with the county commission's permission, I'd like to take BCOA Director Huber along with me and go down and take a look at the behind-the-scenes Emergency Operations Center operations for that event, and also take a tour of the large archery event. I felt when I found out about this, and I know the emergency manager down there, I felt it might be something that would be beneficial to both departments, my emergency management and the BCOAC. You never know what kind of event they're going to have in the future. And does the county commission have any objections to that?
Nope.
And obviously, I've talked to BCOA director already. It's not a surprise. Okay, and other than that, it is National Preparedness Month. This is the final week of it. On September 30th of next week, we have an event from 12 noon to 4 p.m. downstairs in this building. And people might say, well, there's going to be no children or anything available. The event's actually set up more for grandparents and the adults to come in, get the flyers, brochures, cookies, Kool-Aid, and then take it and explain it to the younger adults that have to be in school that day. It's September 30th is a date set in stone by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, so that's why we're having it that day. But we're going to set up our winter survival kits and things that you should have in case of a disaster. It's not just wintertime disasters. Disasters happen 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The only other thing, we did have a PPCC meeting. I attended a County Commission Association convention in Rapid City. Me and Richard both attended the Emergency Management Association conference in Watertown last week, and September 30th, and that's it. Any questions?
Question for Bob?
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bob.
Marty?
Just quickly go through some jail. 5 inmates, which it needs to be hectic around the jail with construction and that and coming and going. So it's those 25 are my equal to 65 because they all need attention. It seems like either medical to whatever. So right now we got a lot of needy inmates. On the 24/7 program, we have a total of 70 total participants. We have 26 that are on the PBTs. We have 11 on the remote breath test, got 14 on Scram, 15 on UAs, and drug court is 15 and Hope Court is 15. So we still have lots of coming and going through the front lobby and so forth. So we're anxious for the jail to get completed. It's and to get that 24/7 area opened up a little bit. So Bart and myself, Jail Administrator Sweeby and myself is going to a 2-day training starting tomorrow in Pierre with a lot of topics. I don't even know how we're going to get through everything. But anywhere from, evidently they're talking about implementation of 2 new crisis programs for the state of South Dakota for law enforcement to respond to persons in crisis. Commissioner Pierce and myself did a security survey with the circuit court judge. They're going to go over some of that things, what they're going to implement in that court security stuff. So I'll come back with that. Also, new employee background investigations. Law enforcement training's got some new requirements for us when we hire new staff. They want to include credit checks, those types of things now. Before they'll take them at law enforcement training, so they're going to go over some of those things. Just one quick question on the temporary deputy that you authorized. There was a question that came up about benefits. Now, it's the intentions of the commission to pay this temporary deputy full benefits, right? Health insurance, the whole gamut. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was part of that. I have a couple good prospects for the temporary deputy. And I did tell them that it was benefits for that time they're with us. So I just wanted to clarify that. Other than that, staff stays busy. I've had a lot of complaints of speeding on gravel roads. I got neighborhood disputes, neighbors blocking field approaches so they can't get out with their combines and those types of things. So my staff stays busy. So anyway, if you have any questions. Thank you.
Brian?
Oh, 9:13 through 9:15. Yesterday I went out and visited the Sinai Bridge, and the bridge is completely demolished. East River had their poles moved, so hopefully they can get started now. North of Volga, we began working on our structure under 20 feet, although it rained, but hoping later today we got the crane arriving, and then box culvert sections arriving tomorrow, backfill later today, or later tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, should have it open to traffic on Friday. Won't have it paved, but it'll be open. And then, next week, we're looking at, starting to fog seal our chip seal routes. That's about all I got.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I also attended the conference in time. I enjoy meeting up with the other auditors and treasurers and not only comparing the successes or good things that are happening in the office, but also getting ideas to change things up a little bit. So that was really good. Met up with the township gal out there, so we've got a new contact for problems with paperwork and the whole process of townships that is in our office. With the finance officer's report, there was a question on the negative balance in the 304 expense line, and that is due to detention center costs. We just did not budget enough, so at the end of the year, we'll have to do a contingency, is the thought.
No, actually, we're going to be doing a supplemental
Supplement,
budget.
okay.
I'm preparing that now. I believe it'll be the second meeting in October where we'll do that supplemental budget. Taking money from that we have designated in, because the bond money's already been spent.
Correct.
So we will be moving money from 301, the building fund, and general fund as well to make up the difference in those expenses that you're seeing, why that's running in the negative. We just didn't budget enough at the beginning of the year, but we have those other monies set aside in those other funds to supplement that. So that's what we will be doing. We have to advertise for that first. So
that's that 2.3 million that we're in the hole on the 304 fund, right?
yes.
Correct.
And,
Yes.
and the 304, that's our bond money. Is that
The
right?
304 fund is the jail expansion project fund. That's where all of the expenses for the jail project are coming out of that fund. That is where the bond money initially went, and that's all been spent.
And have we spent, is it 9 million that we had in the general fund? Have we spent any of that yet?
We haven't yet, no. I am proposing, we have not quite 3 million in the 301 fund. I want to move that first because that's specific building project money. But to cover those costs, we still need to move some of the general fund dollars, but I'm not moving all of that right away. We'll just kind of move it as we need it. So you may see that go in the negative, and then we'll do a supplemental budget and move more money over that way. So I don't want to move more than we need before we need it. So I want to make sure, A, that fund is in the black at year end. That's the biggest thing. So we may see another supplemental budget before the end of the year. I don't know. I'll be watching that closer and closer here as we get towards year end. But it'll correct itself. We just needed some time to do the publication of that. So you'll see that. I believe it's at our second meeting in October. So next time it'll still be negative in there, but then once we do our supplemental budget, it'll come back into the positive. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Lori.
Yep, no problem. I did stay an extra day out in Rapid for Division of Motor Vehicles training on their new system for registrations and titling cars. It was a very unproductive day. They're having a lot of problems with their new system. It is set to roll out the day after Thanksgiving. Thankfully, we are closed that day. So Peer is going to send out some notifications that people should really renew their November registrations early. I will also be putting things in the paper and probably on the radio suggesting that they come in before Thanksgiving. They have suggested we run all reports, everything we might need, because they're not real sure it's going to go good. So I will be putting those in the paper. 2020 audits officially underway. They are parked in the conference room next to our office. If you have any questions, we can sure ask them. And next month, Jenna, Christine, and myself will be going to Pier for election training. It's a good opportunity to cross-train in the office and get another person knowledgeable in the whole election process. So that's about what we've been up to.
Any questions? That is the finance officer's report. We have account with the treasurer, payroll and additive totals, highway expenditures report, and register of deeds statement of fees collected. We do have an 8:55.
I believe he is here if you want to move forward with that 8:55, because that's not anything that's like specifically noticed. It was just to give them a time to be
Okay.
here. So
Move on to scheduled agenda items. Letter A, action to authorize Chairperson Jensen to sign the engagement letter with the Department of Legislative Audit for the year 2020 audit. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is David. I'm here with the Department of Legislative Audit, as you have just read. Do you guys have any questions about the engagement letter?
The only question I would have is the audit different in any way since we've changed from accrual to cash?
Yes, because your cash basis now, we don't have to do anything with receivables and payables, capital assets, and a few other things. So it should be simpler and shorter.
Any other questions?
Okay. If you guys are aware of any fraud, I would like to know, either here or you guys can come down to the conference room at any time. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
No further comments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. I'll move on to regular business. Item A, action approve resolution number 21-41, a plat of blocks 1A and 1B of Intermill Miser Addition in the southwest quarter of Section 12, Township 110 North, Range 51 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
We heard this on our September 7th regularly scheduled planning and zoning meeting. It was approved unanimously and sent to this board with a recommendation that you approve it.
No other comments? Call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B, action approve resolution number 21-42, a plat of Lot 2A of Block 1 in Country Club Estates in the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 28, Township 109 North, Range 50 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second. Comments?
Once again, approved on September 7th by the planning and zoning board unanimously, sent to this board with a recommendation that your board approves it.
Call the roll, please.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C, action approve resolution number 21-43, a plat of Lot 1 of Sanderson Addition, the north half of the southwest quarter of Section 14, Township 110 North, Range 49 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments?
heard by the Planning and Zoning Board on September 7th, passed unanimously, and sent to this board with a recommendation that you approve it.
Call the roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman, Boersma,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Item D, action to approve resolution number 21-44, a resolution to continue support for the First District Association of Local Governments during fiscal year 2022, October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion, a second. Comments?
The dollar amount for dues will be approved as part of our annual budget here coming up later in this meeting.
Call the roll, please.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman, Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item E, action to approve agreement number 21-109, a State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for preliminary engineering state administration structure 06-190-014, project number BRO 8006, parentheses 0022-1, PCN number 08T4. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval?
Have a motion second. Comments?
I forgot to mention, we did receive 4 grants on this last go-round. So that's what you guys were approving now?
All preliminary engineering.
Correct.
Call the roll, please.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item F, action to approve agreement number 21-110, a State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for Preliminary Engineering State Administration Structure 06-210-198, project number BRO 8006, parentheses 0022-2, PCN 08T5. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments? Just the same thing? Call the roll, please.
Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item G, action to approve agreement number 21-11, a State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for Preliminary Engineering State Administration Structure number 06-248-040, project number BRO 8006, parentheses 0022-3, PCN 08T6. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments? Same thing, preliminary engineering. Call the roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item H, action to approve agreement number 21-112, the State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for Preliminary Engineering State Administration Structure number 06-280-139, project number BRO 8006, parentheses 0022-4, PCN 08T7. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item I, action to approve agreement
Actually,
number.
it is 9 o'clock if you want to do that public hearing now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, back to scheduled agenda items. Letter B, 9 o'clock. Public hearing on Highway and Bridge 5-year improvement plan. It is an action to approve the Brookings County Highway Department's Bridge 2021 5-year improvement plan. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Would now like to open a public hearing. Do we have any proponents that would like to speak to this? Do we have any proponents that would like to speak to the 5-year plan?
I'll let the public answer first if they would, if anybody
Okay. Any opponents would like to speak to the 5-year plan? Any opponents? Hearing none, we close the public hearing. The board comments. Do we have any comments? Commissioner Pierce?
I just have a question. I was trying to find the page on my iPad and I can't find it. Where we have listed out where there are still things to be paid, where we're at in progress on prior things. Have we paid everything now on the river bridges, or do we still have money owed on the river bridges?
There is some partial left on the river bridges, but it's coming to a close. And that is one of the things that I'm working with the state on, is to try to limit the amount of payments we're making so we're not confused as far as, you know, so we don't get those surprises. And I'm working with the state as far as that goes, is to try to set a set schedule so we know when we're going to expect to receive those receipts. And that's the confusing part about those two structures, is those were administered by the South Dakota Department of Transportation, whereas our structure south of town that we're working on is as well, but the structure north of Bruce, we're in charge of the administration, and then we get reimbursed. So we're trying to streamline that process, because it's not very much left that we owe, but it's still some.
And we still have a lot assigned on those two bridges, I think. If I was looking at the documents, and I didn't, this is part of the question that Commissioner Krogman always asks, that money that we still have showing up on the report today is assigned on those two bridges. Is it like $2 million? Do we still owe that much?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No, once we know that's been paid, we can unassign that. That will just go back into the 201 fund balance to be assigned for a future project, or just to be there until we need it. So.
Any other comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And to clarify that last part too, I know that has all been improved since this money was assigned. So that shouldn't be an issue moving forward, having that much left assigned, because we started making corrections on how we do that and pay for that and budget for those since that money was assigned years and years ago, because that project's kind of been going on for a number of years. So hopefully you won't see that in the future, unless for some reason a project comes away and under budget, and then we would maybe have some left over. So
Thank you.
Okay. Back to regular business. Item number I, action to approve agreement number 21-113, an application for occupancy of the right-of-way of county highway made by Sioux Valley Energy and Brookings Township. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item J, action approve agreement number 21-114, an application for occupancy of the right-of-way of county highways made by Sioux Valley Energy and Brookings Township. I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item K, action to approve agreement number 21-115, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highway made by Sioux Valley Energy and Brookings Township. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item L, action approve agreement number 21-116, an application for occupancy of the right-of-way of county highway made by Sioux Valley Energy in Brookings Township. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item M, action approve agreement number 21-117, an application for occupancy of the right-of-way of county highway made by Sioux Valley Energy in Brookings Township. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item N, action approve agreement number 21-118, a State of South Dakota Joint Powers Financial and Maintenance Agreement between the Department of Transportation and Brookings County. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments? Hearing none. Call the roll, please.
Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item O, action approve agreement number 21-119, an application for payment number 1, Brookings County Microsurfacing 2021 for a deduction of $32,889.15. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Some background here.
Yeah, this was a new project to Brookings County, and we figured our estimates high when we initially measured for this project. And you can see on the following page there the reasons for the deductions. There was some slight additions, as there was some railroad crossing painting, but primarily it's just for the materials that were not used on the project for the microsurfacing job, which included County Road 1 and County Road 2 up by Lake Ponset. We also included in this project was the Main Street in Aurora.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item P, action approve agreement number 21-120, a mutual aid agreement for the inter-county sharing of resources during emergencies for disasters within South Dakota Office of Emergency Management's Region 6. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments?
Yes, sir. What this agreement mirrors one that we did about 3 years ago. This one adds Aurora County to Region 6. Shouldn't affect our county very much. Aurora County is next to Davidson County, and they share assets now. And of course, Region 6 ranges anywhere from Yankton up to Beetle, make a hard right all the way to us. So it's just, this is just off the county commission agreeing that we would assist Aurora County in our region if necessary. And requested, of course.
What, Bob, what type of resources? Equipment, personnel?
Chances are it'd be more personnel, such as if it was a large tornado or something, to man an operations center, that type of thing. As far as resources, we would typically keep those close to home, and they may even go out of the region. I mean, I'm surrounded by Region 1 to my south and Region 5 to my north. Ideally, that's probably where we would be requested to have assistance, whereas out west, chances are it'd be personnel requests.
Any other, Commissioner Pierce?
Bob, how many different regions are there that we have mutual aid? This obviously doesn't reach any of our neighboring counties like Hamlin and Dual and whatever.
It encounters Kingsbury is the nearest county that this would affect, man.
Right. So and we have, because we've looked at these mutual aid agreements before, we have one with the newer ones and they're in a different region since this is Region 6, or what's the?
This is the same as the one that we signed 3 years ago. It's just adding Aurora County. So this is not a new agreement per se. This is basically amending the agreement that we've got in place now.
So Region 6 is bigger than what these counties are that are listed on here?
Well, these counties are part of Region 6.
Okay. All right. I'm just wondering, the agreement then that we have in place, if this is just amending the agreement we already have, where are the counties that are close to us? Do we not have an agreement with them?
Well, what we have with those are fire department mutual aid agreements at this time. And then by state law, there's various laws that state if a adjoining county requests assistance, then the county commission could authorize us to do that.
So this agreement, for example, doesn't include, I'm going to use Dole County. I'm not picking on
No,
them, but
ma'am, it
they're
does-
right contiguous.
Dual counties in Region 5, Office of Emergency Management's Region 5.
And so do we have a Region 5 agreement?
No, ma'am.
So we don't have an agreement with those counties that are
No, ma'am.
touching our, okay.
Or
our
Lake
counties.
County, or one thing that they have requested that I take a look at is doing a mutual aid agreement with Lincoln County, Minnesota. And I haven't approached the commission yet. I haven't done enough research with the state's attorney yet on that one.
Okay. And when we look at the mutual aid agreement, who drafts that?
Office of Emergency Management, ma'am.
And it has that, and I just didn't remember this from previously, it has that language in there, the last paragraph, that says that this agreement is perpetual unless somebody gives their 30 days notice. So we don't ever look at it again. And this is maybe more a question for Dan than it is for you, but I think there's a state law that prevents those perpetual agreements. And I just wondered if anybody had looked at that.
I can bring it up to him, ma'am.
Yeah, it's just a question, okay, that I had on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item Q, action approve agreement number 21-121, amendment 1 to agreement number 21-77, a State of South Dakota Department of Health Division of Family and Community Health Subrecipient Agreement. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item R, action to approve South Dakota DOT construction change order number 8F for project BRF 6319, parentheses 0017-4, in an amount of $9,306.25. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Yeah, Leanne, you just mentioned this. This is a change order for those projects south of town. So once we approve this change order, I would be expecting that we can hopefully get our last payment wrapped up on this bridge.
Call the roll, please.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item S, discussion and possible action to approve the migration to Office 365 countywide. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments?
So we do utilize Office 365 for our email currently. We've had a number of users go to, what this request is for is to get an additional 65 accounts of what's called the G3 license. This allows us to install your usual Word, Excel, PowerPoint applications on the desktop computer. We're currently using Office 2013 for our primary office suite in the county. A while ago, Microsoft said they're going to, well, it's scheduled to go out of support in 2023. Recently, they've been increasingly adjusting the background technologies for the email authentication so that it won't necessarily work, and they're not going to take any steps to remedy 10-year-old software if it ceases working. So this is licensing to get all of our existing accounts that would need it up to a license where we could install the Office suite on everyone's computers. It also includes an additional 10 basically email accounts that we can set up in anticipation of the growing demand of correctional officers with the jail expansion. We've already seen an uptick in that across the county, but just being able to have enough licenses to provide those email addresses for everyone. The anticipated impact this year, apparently I did not include that in my report, was something around the lines of $5,000. Yeah, if you scroll down, this year, $4,805.95. And then the next year renewal would go from $12,000 to $20,000, $20,252.15. So there would be an impact this year, and then there is definitely an impact next year if this is approved.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Ryan?
Can you scroll down, please, to your first letter that you had to report? And so you're asking for an upgrade for 6 months?
Well, our current contract has 6 months remaining.
Okay.
So the first quote for $4,800 is to cover the remainder of our existing agreement.
Okay.
And then the renewal would start, that would be April or May, well, March or April of 2022.
I mean, do we have to do these last 6 months? Can we get through without having to spend the $4,000 for 6 months and then just renew with an upgrade in April?
There's going to be the authentication change that Microsoft is doing takes effect November 1st. So could we make it? Yes. Could we have issues in the meantime? Yes.
Some of the reason behind this is the new jail, correct?
That represents an addition of a few licenses, yes. The alternative is to get what they call perpetual licenses, which is to just purchase the software once outright. I haven't done the numbers on how much that would cost, but a problem with that is that after the software gets old enough, it's going to quit being supported. And Microsoft has increasingly been keen on sending out updates faster and fiercer in order to age out even newer software quicker.
And so I see at the bottom line there it says the budget impact is $9,612.
That's for the 2022 budget.
Okay.
The 2021 budget, the impact would be the $4,802.
Well, where's the 20,000?
That would be the total renewal cost in 2022. So right now we have, I think it's 11,000 something budgeted. Well, I believe in my budget I have $12,000 budgeted for the 2022 renewal. Yep. Yeah, the total price would be 20,000 to something. Yeah, 20,252.15.
And if we don't spend the 4,000 now, next year still be 20,000. Doesn't change, right?
If we move forward with this, we could also opt to not do the upgrade and just get additional licensing as needed. Then if we have any issues, we'll be either upgrading next year or buying individual licensing next year. Per license for computers, depending on the licensing type, can be between $200 and $400 per computer. about 100 computers, probably 50/50. So we'd be looking at $30,000 if we wanted to just buy the single perpetual license per computer. I'd need to actually put all the numbers together for that and get quotes, but that's just my rough approximation.
Sean, is there additional training necessary to move to Office 365 over what we've got, or does it
No.
basically look the same, period?
There are additional features that we'd be able to take advantage of if we were to move to Office 365. But as far as training, it's the same thing that everyone's used to.
Okay, then the second question is as we move to the new jail facility and new computers and new software over there, how much of this is tied into that type of software at the sheriff's department?
None of it really. The only thing that we've had some issues with is with the Zerker application, and it's working with Microsoft Word, but it's more of a Zerker problem than it is a Microsoft or our technology problem, and we've found ways to mitigate it.
You have the 4,000 in the budget?
So that was the next thing I was going to have Sean touch on. So the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we have available, I think that this would be an eligible expense for some of those ARP funds because it does touch on the cybersecurity concerns that we would have at that county level, and maybe Sean can touch on that a little bit.
This was something I was planning on proposing later on when you have your work session, but the announcement by Microsoft kind of prompted an earlier necessity for discussion. There are some other security features I would like to add from the Microsoft suite. This would be a good first step to get us going in that direction. And then from here, we could see, first of all, make sure it's working well for everybody, and then see if any additional steps would be necessary. If it isn't eligible, it may be doable, it may not. Travel, obviously, due to ongoing COVID, I don't want to say positively impacted my budget, but it has made certain funds not used. So there is some flexibility, but it's too early to tell whether it will be able to absorb the 4,800.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item T, action approved payment to Fire Eye to be reimbursed through a cybersecurity grant. Do I have motion approved?
Move approval?
Second.
I have motion second. Comments?
Seems like it's been forever ago, but a number of months ago, I spoke to you all about a possible grant opportunity. We were approved for the grant, and Mr. Hill has informed me that the funds are now available. The process for this is we get approval and purchase the equipment, and then we pay for it. We get reimbursed from the grantor, Department of Homeland Security, sir. Yeah, so we would get reimbursed. We would probably require a supplemental budget hearing to get this back into the IT account after we get the check from the Department of Homeland Security. But this is just your approval of this particular expenditure. This does cover a full 3 years of the software and the hardware appliance. After that, we could reevaluate and determine whether it's something we liked, didn't like, if we'd like to continue with the same product, move on to something else, and also see if there are any other financial outlets that we could potentially pay for it out of.
questions? Hearing none, call roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item U, action to
Thank you.
approve a request to fill vacancy for a full-time deputy sheriff. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. Item V, action to approve a request to fill vacancy for a part-time deputy sheriff. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. We do have,
I don't know if I can get through this in 3 minutes, so if we want to just take a brief
why don't we take a brief
break and
break until
9:30.
9:30? Okay, we're back. It is 9:30. We have second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2021-06, an ordinance creating licensing provisions for medical cannabis dispensaries. Ordinance 2021-06, an ordinance creating licensing provisions for medical cannabis dispensaries, be it ordained by the Board of County Commissioners of Brookings County as follows. Purpose and intent. The Board of County Commissioners of Brookings County enacts the following licensing ordinance in order to ensure that medical cannabis dispensaries located within the unincorporated areas of the county operate in a manner which complies with the state laws and regulations, protects the health, safety, and welfare of the general public, prevents potential conflicts and issues arising from ownership and employees, recognizes certain safety and security considerations, and minimizes risk of unauthorized use of access of cannabis by the general public. Definitions. This ordinance adopts the following definitions for cannabis-related terms which are defined by South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G-1. Cannabis or marijuana, cannabis cultivation facility, cannabis product manufacturing facility, cannabis products, cannabis testing facility, department, medical cannabis dispensary, medical cannabis establishment. License required. A, no medical cannabis dispensary may be located or operated in the unincorporated area of the county without an appropriate, valid, and current medical cannabis dispensary license issued by the county pursuant to this ordinance. A violation of this provision is subject to the general penalty provision herein. Each day of the violation constitutes a separate offense. B, no medical cannabis dispensary may be located or operate in the unincorporated area of the county without an appropriate, valid, and current medical cannabis dispensary registration certificate issued by the department pursuant to rules promulgated under South Dakota Codified Law 34-220G. A violation of this provision is subject to the general penalty provision herein. Each day of the violation constitutes a separate offense. C, no other medical cannabis establishment other than a medical cannabis dispensary may be licensed within the unincorporated areas of the Brookings County. License application. A, an application for a medical cannabis dispensary license must be made on a form provided by the county. No other application form will be considered. The applicant must submit the following: an application fee of $5,000, a completed application including but not limited to the following: I, the legal name of the prospective medical cannabis dispensary. 2, the physical address of the prospective medical cannabis dispensary that meets the zoning requirements of the Brookings County zoning ordinance, as well as any location requirements pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G and the administrative rules promulgating thereunder. 3, the name, address, and birth date of each principal officer, owner, and board member of the proposed medical cannabis dispensary. 4, a sworn statement that no principal officer, owner, or board member has been convicted of a violent felony offense in the previous 10 years in any jurisdiction. 5, any additional information requested by the county. 6, receipt of a copy of approved state license from the department. Item 7, receipt of a copy of an approved conditional use permit from the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission. Issuance of license. A, the county will issue a medical cannabis dispensary license if available unless 1, the applicant has made a false statement on the application or submits false records or documentations, or 2, any owners, principal officer, or board member of the applicant is under the age of 21 years. Or 3, any owner, principal officer, or board member of the applicant has been convicted of a violent felony offense in the previous 10 years in any jurisdiction, or the proposed location. Item 4, the proposed location does not meet the applicable zoning requirements under the Brookings County zoning ordinance, or 5, the proposed location does not meet all location requirements under South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G and the administrative rules promulgated thereunder. Or item 6, the license is to be used for a business prohibited by state or local law, statute, rule, ordinance, or regulation. Or number 7, any owner, principal officer, or board member of the applicant has had a cannabis establishment license revoked by the county, or a registration certificate revoked by the state. Or item 8, an applicant, owner, principal officer, or board member thereof is overdue in payment to the county or the state of taxes, fees, fines, or penalties assessed against or imposed upon the applicant in relation to any cannabis establishment. B, in the case of an application for a medical cannabis dispensary license, the county will reject the application if the limit on the number of medical cannabis dispensaries in the county has been reached. C, if granted, the license must be posted in a conspicuous place at or near the entrance to a medical cannabis dispensary so that it may be easily read at any time. County neutrality as to applicants. A, upon request from the department as to the county's preference of applicants, the county will neither support nor oppose any registration certificate application under consideration by the department. Likewise, if the inquiry is made by the department, the county will abstain from endorsing any application as beneficial to the county. Number of cannabis dispensaries. A, no more than 5 medical cannabis dispensaries shall be allowed to operate in the unincorporated area of the county at any one time. Expiration of the license and renewal. Each license shall expire 1 year from the date of issuance and may be renewed only by making application as provided herein. Application for renewal must be submitted at least 30 days before the expiration date. The license holder must continue to meet the license requirements to be eligible for renewal. The renewal fee is $5,000. Item C, failure to renew a license in accordance with this section may result in additional fees upon expiration of the license. The county may order closure of the medical cannabis dispensary. D, if a license holder has not operated a medical cannabis dispensary for which it holds a license in the preceding 12 months, the license will not be renewed. Suspension. A license may be suspended if the license holder or an employee or agent of the license holder 1, violates or is otherwise not in compliance with any section of this ordinance. 2, consumes or smokes or allows any person to consume or smoke cannabis on the premises of the medical cannabis dispensary. 3, knowingly dispenses or provides cannabis or cannabis products to an individual or business to whom it is unlawful to provide cannabis or cannabis products. B, a license shall be suspended if the license holder has its department-issued registration certificate suspended, revoked, or not renewed by the department, or if the registration certificate is expired. C, a license may be suspended if the license holder creates or allows to be created a public nuisance at the medical cannabis dispensary. Revocation. A license may be revoked if the license is suspended as provided herein and the cause for the suspension is not remedied. B, a license may be revoked if the license is subject to suspension as provided herein because of a violation outlined in that section and the license has been previously suspended in the preceding 24 months. C, a license is subject to revocation if a license holder, employee of a license holder, number 1, gave false or misleading information in the materials submitted during the application process. 2, knowingly allowed possession, use, or sale of non-cannabis controlled substances on the premises. Item 3, operated the medical cannabis dispensary or the business of the medical cannabis dispensary for which a license is required under the ordinance while the license was suspended. 4, repeated violations of this ordinance. 5, operated a function of cannabis establishment for which the license holder was not licensed. Example, a licensed cannabis cultivation facility conducting cannabis testing functions without a cannabis testing establishment license. 6, a license holder or an owner, principal officer, or board member thereof is delinquent in payment to the county or state for any taxes or fees related to the medical cannabis dispensary. 7, a license holder or an owner, principal officer, or board member thereof has been convicted or continues to employ an employee who has been convicted of a disqualifying felony offense as defined by South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G, or the license holder has its department-issued registration certificate suspended, revoked, not renewed, or the registration certificate is expired. Number 9, the license holder allows a public nuisance to continue after notice from the county. Suspension and revocation process. A, the license holder will receive a notice of intent to suspend or notice of intent to revoke, informing the license holder of the violation and the county's intention to suspend or revoke the license. The notice will be hand-delivered to the license holder or an employee or agent of the license holder or sent by certified mail. Return receipt requested to the physical address of the medical cannabis dispensary. B, if the license holder disputes the suspension or revocation, the license holder has 10 days from which the postmark date on the notice or the date the notice was hand-delivered to request a hearing before a hearing panel, which will consist of the county commission chairperson, the finance officer, and the sheriff. C, a suspension will be for 30 days and begins 10 days after the postmark date on the notice or the date the notice is hand-delivered, unless the license holder exercises its rights to process and appeal, in which the suspension takes effect upon the final determination of suspension. D, a revocation will be for 1 year and begins 10 days after the postmark date on the notice, or the date the notice is hand-delivered, unless the license holder appeals the revocation, in which the revocation takes upon the final determination of revocation. E, the license holder who has had the license revoked may not be issued any cannabis establishment license for 1 year from the date the revocation became effective. Appeal. An applicant or license holder who has been denied a license or a renewal of a license, or who has had a license suspended or revoked under this ordinance, may appeal to the Board of County Commissioners by submitting a written appeal within 10 days of the postmark on the notice of denial, non-renewal, suspension, or revocation. The written appeal must be submitted to the Board of County Commissioners. The appeal will be considered by the Board of County Commissioners at a regularly scheduled meeting within 1 month of the receipt of the appeal. License not transferable. No medical cannabis dispensary license holder may transfer the license to any other person, entity, either with or without consideration, nor may a license holder operate a medical cannabis dispensary at any place other than the address designated in the application. Hours of operation for dispensaries. Medical cannabis dispensaries are allowed to be open between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on Monday through Saturday, and the hours of 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Sunday. Penalties. Any person who operates or causes to be operated a cannabis establishment without a valid license in violation of this ordinance is subject to a suit for injunction as well as prosecution for ordinance violations. Such violations may be enforced through a fine not to exceed the fine established by South Dakota Codified Law 22-6-2, parentheses 2, for each violation, or imprisonment for a period not to exceed 30 days for each violation, or by both the fine and the imprisonment. Each day a cannabis establishment so operates is a separate offense or violation. Severability. The provisions of this ordinance are severable. If any provision of this ordinance or the application thereof to any person or circumstance is held to be invalid, Such invalidity shall not affect other provisions or applications of this ordinance, which can be given effect without the invalid provision or application. Adopted this 21st day of September 2021. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there any proponents that would like to speak to this item? Is there any proponents that would like to speak to this item? Hearing none, is there any opponents that would like to speak? Any opponents? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. I look to the board for comments.
Do we already have a motion pending?
We have no motion.
I'd move to approve.
Second.
I
We have a motion and a second.
have a issue that came up after we did our first reading. And when you look at SDCL 34-20G, I'm trying to get the exact site in that statute, and I can't make my phone work right. But the state, to get the state license, has a provision in there that says if the city or county where the proposed medical cannabis establishment requires a local registration license or permit, a copy of the registration license or permit. If you'll recall, when we discussed our ordinance and came up with the wording on it, we thought we would ask for the state license first. We can't do that. And I would propose that if we can, that we would delete in license application, subpart 6, that says receipt of a copy of an approved state license from the department. Because we say you have to have your state license first, the state says you have to have your county license to show them first, then we're going to have a problem there, and we probably shouldn't have that in our ordinance.
And I visited with Commissioner Pierce about this a while back, and I agreed to remove it. But I think she was going to bring it up at this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I don't know who's going to be developing our application form, but on our application form, or not the form, but on the license form itself, we should have something in there that's going to say that your license isn't valid until you receive your state license. But we can deal with that in another manner than in this particular ordinance.
Is there a limit on state licenses?
I do not believe so. I don't think so.
Our limit's 5. So we could, maybe that's for the state.
And I think it's important, if there's anybody that's listening and anybody appearing, to understand that how we came up with 5 was we were matching those. We have 5 alcohol licenses. That's based on population. And we thought that matching those numbers would be reasonable.
You want to make motion to amend the,
I can. I would make a motion to amend the ordinance to delete under license application, part B, little I, the line that's, or little 6, excuse me, the line that says receipt of a copy of an approved state license from the department.
I'd second that.
and motion and second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. Is there any other comments to the original motion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D, second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2021-07 and an ordinance prohibiting the smoking of cannabis in public places. Ordinance 2021-07, an ordinance prohibiting the smoking of cannabis in public places Be it ordained by Brookings County, Section 1, Authority. This ordinance is enacted under the authority of South Dakota Codified Law 7-8-33 and South Dakota Codified Law Chapter 34-20G. The Brookings County Board of County Commissioners hereby finds that smoking cannabis in any public place or in any place open to the public is a public nuisance, and that such smoking annoys, injures, and endangers the comfort, repose, health, and safety of others. Section 2, Purpose. It is the purpose of this ordinance to prohibit the smoking of cannabis in any public place or in any place open to the public in Brookings County outside of an incorporated municipality. Section 3, Definitions and Interpretation. For the purpose of this ordinance, the terms public place and place open to the public shall be defined to include A, any area to which the public is invited, B, any area in which the public is permitted, C, any place of employment, and D, any area in, on, or around any public place, including without limitation parking lots, elevators, lobbies, hallways, corridors, parks, and areas open to the public within any place of business, place of employment, or multifamily residential buildings. The definition of other terms shall correspond to the definition set forth in South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G-1. Any interpretation of terms under that statute shall apply to the same term in this ordinance. Section 4, Unauthorized Acts. It is unlawful for any person to smoke cannabis, including medical cannabis, in any public place, whether or not the cannabis, including medical cannabis, is prescribed by a practitioner of the medical arts. Consuming medical cannabis products, not including smoking, is permitted. Section 5, Criminal Penalty. Violation of the terms of this ordinance may be enforced through a fine not to exceed the fine established by South Dakota Codified Law 22-6-2, for each violation of, or by imprisonment for a period not to exceed 30 days for each violation, or by both the fine and imprisonment. Section 6, Severability and Separability. Should any article, section, subsection, or part of this ordinance be declared by a court of competent jurisdiction to be unconstitutional, invalid, or otherwise affected by law, such determination shall not affect the validity or constitutionality of the ordinance as a whole or any part thereof other than the part so determined. Section 7, Effective Date. This ordinance is necessary to protect and immediately preserve the public peace, health, or safety, and is therefore immediately effective following second reading pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 7-18A-8, adopted this 21st day of September 2021.
Make a
This
motion
time-
to approve. Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved. And a second. I'd now like to open the public hearing. Is there any proponents that would like to speak to this? Is there any proponents? Hearing none. Opponents? Any opponents? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and ask for board comments. Comments from the board? Hearing none, call the roll.
Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
The next thing is noticed for 10 o'clock.
We'll take a brief 5-minute break. Well, it's 10 o'clock. I call. Item E is second reading of ordinance number 21-08, an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Article 4, Chapter 4.02, Commercial Industrial Districts, Section 402-02, adopted by ordinance 2018-03, an ordinance to add Article 3, Section 3-03-02, prohibited uses, an ordinance to add Article 5, general requirements, an ordinance to add in Article 2, definitions. Ordinance number 2021-08, an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend Article 4, Chapter 40, Commercial Industrial Districts, Section 402-02, adopted by ordinance 2018-03, an ordinance to amend Article 3 by adding Section 3-03-02, prohibited uses, an ordinance to add Article 5, general requirements. An ordinance to amend Article 2 by adding Section 296, definitions. Be it ordained by the Board of County Commissioners of Brookings County, South Dakota, that Chapter 3-03-02, application of district regulations of the zoning ordinance of Brookings County, be amended by adding the following section: 3-03-02, prohibited uses. All uses and structures not specifically listed as a permitted use or as a conditional use in a particular zoning district shall be prohibited in said district. Be it ordained by the Board of County Commissioners of Brookings County, South Dakota, that Section 4-02-02, CI, Commercial Industrial Districts, conditional uses of the zoning ordinance of Brookings County be adopted by adding language 21, medical cannabis dispensaries subject to Chapter 5.17, and reserving chapter sections 5-1 through 5-16. Be it further ordained by the Board of County Commissioners of Brookings County, South Dakota, that Article 5, general requirements of the zoning ordinance of Brookings County be adopted by adding the following chapters: 5, Section 17, reserved chapter sections 5-1 through 5-16, Chapter 5.17, medical cannabis dispensaries. Number 1, maximum number of medical cannabis dispensaries. A, in the development and execution of these regulations, it is recognized that there are some uses which, because of their very nature, are recognized as having serious objectionable operational characteristics, particularly when several of them are concentrated under certain circumstances, thereby having a potential deleterious effect upon the adjacent area. Special regulation of these uses is necessary to ensure that these adverse effects will not contribute to the blighting or downgrading of the surrounding neighborhood. The primary control or regulation is for the purpose of preventing a concentration of these uses in any one area. B, the county shall allow up to 5 conditional use permits for medical cannabis dispensaries, provided the time, place, and manner of said dispensary comply with this ordinance. 2, required separation distances. A medical cannabis dispensary should not be located not less than 1,000 feet from public or private school existing before the date of the cannabis dispensary application. B, prescribed separation and setback distances from certain existing uses are to be measured from the lot line of the property where the dispensary is proposed. 3, other locational requirements. A, permanent or temporary medical cannabis dispensaries are prohibited in all other zoning districts other than the commercial district and are not eligible for a home occupation use. B, it shall be unlawful to operate a medical cannabis dispensary in a building which contains a residence or a mixed-use building with commercial and residential uses. 4, controlled access. No medical cannabis establishment shall share premises with or permit access directly from another medical cannabis establishment, a business that sells alcohol or tobacco, or if allowed by law, another cannabis establishment. 5, hours of operation. A, medical cannabis dispensaries are allowed to be open between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on Monday through Saturday, and the hours of 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Item 6, documentation of state licensure. A, no medical cannabis dispensary shall require, possess, store, deliver, transfer, transport, supply, or dispense cannabis products, or paraphernalia without providing documentation licensure from the state of South Dakota. Number 7, no medical cannabis dispensary shall be established within Brookings County without first obtaining a conditional use permit. A, 8, applications for conditional use permits for medical cannabis dispensaries shall contain the following. A, any information required for an applicable building permit. B, ingress and egress plan. C, parking plan. D, lighting plan, including security lighting. E, screening, security fencing plan. All entrances to the facility shall be secure and have appropriate security measures to deter and prevent theft of any medical marijuana. Refuse plan. Waste and marijuana remnants and byproducts shall be located in a secure container located within a secure area in the facility and disposed of in a manner which is compliant with the Department of Health and Regulations permits. G, hours of operation. H, documentation of ability to meet setback separation requirements. I, documentation of state licensure. J, any other information as lawfully may be required by the zoning official to determine compliance with this ordinance. 9, no other medical cannabis establishment other than a medical cannabis dispensary is allowed under the Brookings County zoning ordinance. 10, all medical cannabis dispensaries are required to be constructed in conformance with the 2021 edition of the International Building Code. Be it further ordained by the Board of County Commissioners of Brookings County, South Dakota, that Articles 2, definitions of the zoning ordinance of Brookings County, be amended by adding Section 2.96 definitions. This ordinance adopts the following definitions for cannabis-related terms which are defined by South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G-1. Cannabis or marijuana, cannabis cultivation facility, cannabis product manufacturing facility, cannabis products, cannabis testing facility, department, medical cannabis dispensary, medical cannabis establishment, adopted this 21st day of September 2021. Item I is an action to approve ordinance number 21-08, an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend Article 4, Chapter 4.02, Commercial Industrial Districts, Section 4.02-02, adopted by Ordinance 2018-03, and ordinance to add Article 3, Sections 3-03-02, prohibited uses, an ordinance to add Article 5, general requirements, an ordinance to add in Article 2, definitions. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
motion carries.
Okay, we'll move on to Commission Assistant Reports. Commission Department Director.
Included with my staff report was the surplus cash analysis information for August month end. And that was part of Lori's report, was that surplus cash analysis at 26% is where we landed at the end of August. And you can see in the 10-year comparison that we're just above the 10-year average, which is 22.4%. So we're doing pretty well there. The commission did receive an invitation. I think that was also handed out to each of you this morning, or if you had picked it up in your mailbox previously, an invitation for a bridge, state bridge naming ceremony on October 8th. That's at Depew Military Hall at the SDSU campus. This is the bridge on the bypass just west of Madera Avenue. So that should, you should have all received one of those invitations. And then if you recall, a month or so ago, we had sent a letter off to DOT asking that they look at that intersection of US Highway 14 and Brookings County Road 23. And we did hear back from Dan Martell with the DOT, and they are studying that intersection and have been since school started, it looks like, doing some video taping out there, looking at traffic turning movement counts, crash history. And then they're also going to do an on-site inspection, and as part of that, I think they'll be inviting some of us locally, Highway Patrol. I'm sure they'll get in touch with Marty with the sheriff's office and of the county, and I'm hoping that the city of Aurora too, to meet out there at that site to look at that at some point here in the future. So that is good news that they're taking a look at that. Also, we did receive information last week about the local roads conference. It's actually the regional local roads conference. This is typically held out in Rapid City, but this year it's held at the Ramcota in Sioux Falls. And I think I'd asked, kind of send out that initial ask last week, and I know Larry and Mike plan to attend that. That's October 19th through the 21st down in Sioux Falls. Does anyone else plan to attend that? I know I need to RSVP. It is free for county commissioners to attend, but does anyone else? Again? October 19th through the 21st.
Chris Jacobson, I believe, sent you.
I did get and I got an individual thing in the mail, and it looked like a great program. I can't go, but it looked like a great program.
Yeah, I know Larry and Mike plan to attend, so. Okay. I did receive a phone call from Lisa Fredericks, I believe is her name. She is representing Daughters of the American Revolution, and they're requesting out at the Madera Monument site to place a bench out there. They have the ability to do like a precast foundation and then to put a bench on that foundation out at the monument site, but they want to make sure that that is okay with the county before they proceed. Is that fine with the county for if you are comfortable with them? I know they have been the ones that have, been planting flowers and really taking care of that site. So I will get back in touch with them. I think they have the ability to even maybe move the forward on that project this week. So.
And will that be a mowing issue?
It's something to mow out around, but I don't think it's going to be.
It's on a concrete base.
Yeah, it
shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. And then, other than that, just some other upcoming dates that we have. I've been mentioning kind of all along. Some main ones to note: the county road tour on October 6th. That's from 8 to noon, and that's just that morning time. We're going to just do that 1/2 day county road tour. We did receive some additional information from the Hobo Day Committee on the Hobo Day Parade, asking if the commission would like to be in the parade. It is on October 23rd. Do you want to, as a county commission, take part in the parade on Hobo Day?
Yep.
You will provide a vehicle? Okay. All right, that sounds good. I will let them know that.
Kids.
Let's see. The last thing I have is on November 10th, the county is hosting our next 10 county meeting. And when we were traveling back from Redfield, there was some discussion on where to have that meeting. The last time we hosted, we had it out at the BCOAC. We've held it here at this building before. Is there any preference on where you would like to hold that? I need to get that reserved as soon as possible. Do you want to use our BCOAC again? That would probably be the simplest, to work with Dustin to see if that date is available and have that out on the archery range again. It's November 10th on a Wednesday. Okay. That is all I have unless you have any questions for me.
What time would that start on the 10th?
So the lunch will start at noon, and then the program goes, typically it goes until probably about 2:30. When we were up in Redfield the last time, I don't think we left there until 3 or 3:30. There was a lot of information at that particular meeting, so that one ran a little bit longer than they typically do. But yeah, start at noon with the meal, and then program after that.
We're in charge of the agenda for that meeting also, is that correct?
Correct.
Larry is in charge? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it might be important to go ahead and let our legislators know ahead of time about this meeting, because that's important for them to show up. and
First
give any-
District works with
Yeah,
them
this
and
is
does a
pre-legislative.
reach out to all of the area legislators and invites them to these events. So, yep,
Put them on the agenda.
yep.
Is that all? Okay. Commissioner Pierce? Or Dan, do you have anything? Commissioner Pierce?
So on September 7th, as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I attended the joint jurisdiction meeting City of Brookings and Brookings County, and we are starting to work again on our joint jurisdiction ordinance. And we just did an overview, a little bit of a review, and then we'll be meeting again, I think monthly, if I understood that right. So we're actually starting to move forward again on that. On the 10th, I attended the JDAI meeting. I don't have anything, and I attended by Zoom. Dan, did you have anything from that needed to go on the record?
No, it was more about the diversion program, which is kind of in partnership with the JDAI program, because it's the same person who oversees that. So it's going well, though.
Yeah, program's up and running, and our coordinator's in place, and we'll see how it all goes. On September 11th, I went to the Raven Precision Ag Center grand opening up at SDSU. That was very nice. It's a beautiful facility, and really should bring some benefit to Brookings County, our agricultural people eventually, I think. And then on September 12th through the 14th, I was out in Rapid City with all of you for the SDACC meeting. And I have to thank Bob for letting me ride with him and backing out. And we had an opportunity to visit, and we may have resolved all the county's problems. We'll share that with you later. But it was fun. I attended at that meeting the Veterans Affairs session, which was excellent. The lady that did that, she had some handouts. I brought those back. I gave them to Courtney. Courtney hasn't met that lady yet because she's stationed out in Rapid City. But she works with survivors of people who died while they were active military. Could be war, could be an accident, could have been a heart attack while you were in the military. And she works with those families and helps them get the benefits to which they're entitled. I went to the session on plats, and it was interesting, but it seems like we do a lot of stuff on plats, and what we looked at were a lot of different checklists that various different counties, particularly the Register of Deeds office, is used for plats. I went to the districting meeting, which unfortunately has no relationship to anything we do, and it didn't say that in the description. All these counties that talk about districting, because we don't have districts, doesn't relate to us. We don't have to do any of that. So that's all good stuff. And the very best thing I went to was the HR presentation on marijuana. And that was excellent. And maybe when we are doing our work session, because we don't have enough on the agenda for that day, and I think maybe, how many of you were at that? I know you were because you sat next to me, but okay. The decision that we have to make, and we should probably do this sooner rather than later, is for our employees, when it comes to marijuana, are we going to have a zero tolerance position? Because we can do that if that's what we choose, even as relates to medical marijuana. Or are we going to have a policy where we say that when you come to work, you have to be below this level of marijuana use? And that we're going to need to do some updating on our handbook. Stacy reached out to get the slideshow presentation, and if possible, she's going to try to get the recording so that she and Kristen can listen to that. It was really excellent, but all it did was raise questions. We probably could have used another hour for all of that. And one of the things that she said that I wondered about for Dan's office is she said, and the she that I'm talking about was Sarah Frankenstein, I think is how her last name's pronounced, said that if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the recreational marijuana, it'll go into effect the next day. Now, that's what she said. She said, if you don't have any ordinances in place, then anybody can do whatever they want. Should we be working on some recreational ordinances so that we have those in place? I don't know the answer to that, but it seems to me like we don't want to be behind the 8 ball on that. And then the last thing I have to report on, I went to the Meet the District meeting with First District on the 16th, and Todd had his whole staff there, I think, except for 2 people, met everybody, and they visited about what they do for us, and they do a lot. So that's all I have.
Mr. Bartley.
Okay, also on September 7th, the joint meeting in the morning. And then additionally, the Planning Commission for the county and the resolutions tonight. There's some of those plats. On the 12th to the 14th, I've also attended the state county meeting, presented a parliamentary procedure course for one session and a mock meeting for the second session, and it was well attended. It was fun, actually. Did the safety luncheon on Wednesday at noon, or Tuesday at noon, whatever it was. Brookings County did receive some awards. Lori, do you remember exactly? Could you tell us what the awards were for, or do you know, Stacy? I think public should know we won some safety awards.
So we received the gold level safety and loss award, which requires us to do several things here at the county. We have our safety committee, that's a piece of it. All of our drills, our safety week, everything that we practice, fire extinguisher training, all of those things go towards receiving this gold level. So there's a number of things that we do here to receive that gold level status, and we did that. And then based on our loss ratio, we also received the platinum status, and that is 100% based on that, on your loss ratio. There's not really anything we can do here other than be safe and not have a lot of claims, right? So we do that, and then we receive that platinum status. Those both help lower our cost on our premiums as well. There's some we get some money back because of those awards that we receive and the work that we put into doing that.
Thank you. And thanks, Lori, for going up and accepting those awards for us. On the 16th, the First District Meet the District meeting, and that completes my report.
Mr. Krogman.
Right. I had a little lighter week here. September 8th, I did have a joint meeting with district and Beta on getting a MOU. And then we just did get an email that they did drop the $400 million grant process from the federal government for transportation. So we will be diligently working I think we have till November, midway through November, to get our application in. And so hopefully we can get the MOU put together with the school district and have that as part of our application. But hopefully with all the work that we've been doing, we can get an application into that and see if we get approved for construction or a grant, federal grant for the construction of a joint facility. So finally, we were waiting for a while for that grant application opportunity to show up, and it just did. So Beta will be working hard in conjunction with Brookings School District to try to see if we can qualify for that grant. I think we did do a letter of support, which will also be part of that. And we also have letters of support from the city and SDSU and Brookings School District, and so that'll be part of the application process. So hopefully, I know it's kind of a quick turnaround, but I think Brenda and her staff have been ready for it, and they're going to go to work and get it done. So, but that's all I have.
Mr. Boardman.
First of 3 BEDC board retreats that was facilitated by Paula Jensen from Dakota Resources. Really, really good discussion among board members, and Andrew certainly was there. So we talked through sort of an economic development model related to things that are in the scope of economic development and things that are not in the scope of economic development, and kind of sorted out the activities that BEDC has been involved in that sort of fall above the line in what you would typically consider to be community development things versus below the line that are more economic development things, or vice versa, however that model works. And so there's been an awful lot of resources, I think, and activities in the world of BEDC in the last couple of years put into community development as sort of the catalyst for change in certain community development efforts. But long term, is that really where BEDC wants to focus its efforts? And so the next session is here in a couple weeks, and we'll kind of do part 2 of that economic development model versus community development model, understanding what are some of the impediments to growth in the world of economic development. So some of the housing things that we're looking at are certainly on the table for that. So that was a really productive session, I thought. Dakota Resources did an awesome job on that. And then the 9th through the 12th through 14th was also at SDACC convention. A couple of the really interesting sessions I went to were related to health and human services, welfare, those types of things. And specifically the ones that I think are of interest to this group that were different than things that have already been mentioned was we spoke with Jim Hansen from the Quality of Life Unit for Rapid City Police Department, and talked about the Rapid City Care Campus and the collaboration between the city, the county, the judicial system, and community partners. Super fascinating model for how they approach that. And certainly a great resource if we're looking to figure out what collaboration might look like when it comes to diversion, when it comes to substance use, those types of things. They specifically talked about the millions of dollars saved in jail costs by understanding how they divert to detox versus putting someone in jail for the night. And so trying to quantify the dollars and cents that it costs to arrest, book, detain, and then deal with court costs after the fact was something that was kind of a fascinating way to just imagine that cost savings and what it looked like for them to justify their detox beds and their safe beds and the number that they used and how did they arrive at that. So just a fascinating way to think about it. He said they had 1,700 deferred arrests in the first 3 years of that program. And they save on average somewhere between $400 and $500 per individual arrest per time that they defer to detox or a safe bed or something like that instead. So it was very interesting. And then the other one was the One Heart Mission, very similar. It's next door to the Care Campus. and understanding that the revolving door of poverty cost the Rapid City community around, they said, $150 million, which seems crazy to me. And certainly we don't have the level or the scale or the scope of problem that Rapid City does, but just understanding how homelessness, substance abuse, mental behavioral health impacts economic development, impacts children and families, and is kind of a ripple effect for the county in particular, but also the Rapid City community. And so they shared that as a case study, and then the link in Sioux Falls as a similar kind of model. And so all of the welfare directors were part of those sessions. It was really interesting to hear about the different ways that people are tackling things and the challenges that they're having with mental behavioral health in other parts of the state. So that was that. And then the 15th, another BEDC board meeting. And then yesterday I did a guest lecture for the state and local government class at SDSU talking about county government. And last night I had a Brookings Behavioral Health and Wellness board meeting. So that's it.
Okay, well, we do have a 10:30, a public for year 2022 annual budget. Action to approve the amendments to the year 2022 provisional budget. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Open the second. I would now open a public hearing. Any proponents would like to speak to the item? Any proponents that would like to speak to this item? Any opponents who would like to speak? Any opponents would like to speak? I would now close the public hearing and entertain the board comments.
So the changes that were made that you see in front of you on the screen, we did get our utility and growth numbers in between the time the provisional budget was approved and this annual budget was approved. So you'll see in the general fund in that first section, there was a reduction of just shy of $2,500, and in the 301 in the building fund, it was to an increase of about just shy of $2,000. I do see one change in the miscellaneous revenue line under the 301. That should be 301, 361, not 101 again. So we'll make that change.
Any questions? Other comments? Call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2, action approve resolution number 21-40, adoption of the year 2022 annual budget for Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further comments?
Just one other thing to note, that these changes did decrease the levy just slightly. It was at 4.468 and it went down to 4.202. So these changes did reduce that tax levy. So that's good.
Call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, back to commission reports. I'll finish mine. On the 9th at noon, PPC meeting, Bob gave a brief report. Had some good reports from the health officials. There's no flu had been detected, but RSV and childhood illnesses in the daycares is kind of rampant. And Sanford did report that they had started booster shots, the third shot. They'd given out 100 of them the day before. So basically people with challenged immune system. So at 3:30, went on the weed tour with the weed board. I'm sad to say our weed enforcement officer, Danny Carmichael, will be retiring this year. He's not coming back. He gave a good year-end report. I've provided each youth a report, and he will be missed. Done a good job for us. On 12th through the 14th, they attended the state convention. 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 On the 13th, I attended a media protocol workshop. Basically, your public information officer for the Pennington County Sheriff's Office gave the presentation. It was a good presentation. And she kind of stressed to make sure you get the word out there accurately and in a timely fashion. And the next meeting I attended was a rural access infrastructure inventory training. It was basically the same presentation we had at our 10-county meeting on these of the township culvert inventory. There was a couple counties in attendance there that had already started their inventory. Lincoln County had started, and they were completing about 25 structures a day, they said, and they averaged about 15 minutes per structure to do the work on the app. So it's going. I'm sure where we're at with the townships requesting our participation or not, but
We did send a letter out to all of the townships, and they're coming back in with townships asking us to do that. So I will start sharing that with Brian. So if they want to get a start on that, they can go ahead then.
Yep.
We're hearing back from a number of townships who want the county to do that for them.
I did attend the bridge replacement program by Doug Kinnenberg. He believes that in the future of this infrastructure bill that the funds will be increasing, but there's a slight problem with that. We're lacking people that build bridges. There's numerous contractors that can do the box culvert applications, but bridge builders are becoming a few and far between. So it'd be a challenge to get contractors lined up. And did attend the meeting hosted by Michael Moore out of Beale County, basically on mental health status and committing who's responsible to pay for these when the people are sent in for treatment, who is if they self-check them in or if they're required. On the 16th, attended a meeting, First District out at the Outdoor Adventure Center. It was interesting to actually learn of the services that they offered and to actually put a face with the people that's doing the work behind the scenes there. So that concludes what I had. We will now move on to item number 12, executive session. In accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parentheses 1 and parentheses 4. Do I have a motion to enter?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.